What's up, everybody? Welcome to Are You Down with LPT, the podcast where agents like you share their stories, experiences, and insights to help each other level up and thrive. In every episode, we're diving deep into the real-life challenges, wins, and lessons from the front lines. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just getting started, this is the place to connect, learn, and grow together. So, if you're ready to get down with LPT and take your game to the next level, let's jump in. All right, welcome back to Are You Down with LPT? I got a special guest today, Michael Valdes. Michael is the CEO of LPT International and several other titles that maybe you can fill us in on there. But as we get started here, maybe just tell us a little bit, about yourself and
Sure thing.
who you are.
First of all, thank you.
Yeah.
I think this is my first time in Iowa, which is awesome. This is it. So that's it. You brought me 50-degree weather in January.
It's always like this.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And so that's what I've heard, not.
Yeah.
So great to be here. I mean, look, I've been here about an hour already, and everyone's so incredibly friendly. So I love that. Thank you for the hospitality. So I am Michael Valdes, as you said, CEO of LPT International. I'm also the global president of Aperture, which is our second brand that I think we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah.
Before that, I was the chief growth officer for EXP. I was there for just shy of 5 years, ran that company from 20,000 agents to just under 90,000, helped make that the largest indie at the moment.
Yeah, at the moment.
At the moment. And prior to that was the senior vice president of Realogy, now known as Anywhere, now known as Compass.
Yeah, as of Friday, right?
As of Friday. And I spent 15 years there. And prior to that, I was an investment banker for 10 years with Deutsche Bank.
And now you were telling me you travel pretty much, was it 200 days?
Last year was over 200 days. Yep. And so basically it's sort of like the house in Dallas belongs to the maid, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't envy that, but that's
listen, that's what growth is all about.
Yeah, that's right. That's what you were telling me. A lot of what you did last year and are doing now is really getting the message out about LPT.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Look, when I joined the LPT in July of 24. And so at that point, we were probably at about 10,000 agents and we were at, I think, 22 states. Now we're in all 50 states and we're in 5 Canadian provinces. We opened up a new brand. And we don't really tell our numbers.
All right. I was going to ask that. I won't. That's all right.
I can tell you that it's more than double where we started.
Yeah. So north of 20. Well, okay. So we were talking in the car a little bit. Super Bowl 2023.
2024.
2024.
No. Yeah, 2024.
Oh, early 2024.
That's right.
Yes.
February. Yes.
Yeah. So how did I don't know how much of this story you can share, but how did Robert convince you LPT?
Well, listen, it was funny. It was an invitation from Andy Florence, the CEO of CoStar, and they were really trying to push homes.com, right? So they had invited the 40 top real estate executives, and I was there with my old company representing them. Robert and his wife, Jill, were there representing LPT. This is my 22nd year in real estate, so I knew all 38 of the other people. I knew of Robert. I'd never met him. Vice versa, he knew of me. And so, like when you're at a party, you want to go and sort of like go sit with somebody you don't know. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And so that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
We knew of each other. We went and we watched the game together. We really hit it off. And then we exchanged numbers. We had lunch together in Miami a few months later. And conversation just started naturally progressing. And he started telling me about what his vision was with LPT and everything else. And I'm really sort of collaborative, right? It's like I know every other real estate executive that's in our industry 2 decades in. I get along with everyone. Yeah. And so I root for everyone, right? And so I was like, that's amazing. Good for you. Yeah. And I said, that sounds incredible. And so he says, are you in play? And I said, sorry, what? And so he says, I'd like for you to sort of like consider running this. And I was just like, what are you talking about? And so we ended up having a really great conversation. He says to me, why don't you come to Montana? He has a home in Yellowstone Club. And so he says, come spend a week, come spend some time with the family. Let's just talk. And so I don't know if you guys have ever been to Yellowstone, but it's sort of like once you're there, you can't say no to this man. Yeah. And, we really got
I've been in that shoe.
I know, right? It was so natural and it felt right. Yeah. And so here I am.
Yep. So welcome.
Thank you.
We didn't beat you by much. We were here beginning of 2024. So, but it's a great place to be. Tell us a little bit, as we talk about LPT and Aperture, which I would love to get into that a little bit.
Sure.
But I know we're over 20,000 agents.
Who said that?
Well, you didn't say that. I said I should take it back. You're double where we were before. I'm sorry. But what do you think is the reason for a lot of this growth?
Look, we always say that LPTA, which now stands for both brands as our parent company, is really the home for agents to build their own individual definition of success, right? That IDOS. And it really is true. We're the only, think about any other company that's in the real estate space. They only have one model, right?
Yep.
Sotheby's has one model. Coldwell Banker has one model. Compass has one model. They don't have 10 companies, but they have one model.
Yeah.
And so we're the only ones that have a hybrid model on the LPT side and now have Aperture. So we have a solution for the largest number of agents. And so whether you are an independent that wants to sort of take some responsibility off your balance sheet, still maintain your brand, your integrity, and come in and continue to grow on our platform, wonderful. If you're a top team leader like yourself that came in and you saw the economics of a platform like ours, great. If you're a single agent that's a rock star, this is the platform where you have the most tools to grow your business. If you're a new agent, this is where you have the best training. We just won an Apex award. We were the only real estate company just at the end of the year that won an Apex award, which is an award for training across all sectors. We were the only real estate brokerage company on that list. In February, we know where we place, but we know that we're the only real estate brokerage company on there. Yeah. So we're here to truly serve all of those agents wherever they are. And now somebody who's really in a niche market, like a luxury agent, really now has an incredible home with Aperture as well. So there is a solution for truly every entrepreneur, whether you're a single agent, a team lead, an independent, or a luxury agent. Nobody else can say that.
I love it. And that's, a lot of the recruiting meetings that we have is exactly like that. Doesn't matter where you're at in their real estate career or where you want to go. Like I think we can help solve, wherever where they want to take their career.
And think about it. It's also our tagline of Brokerage for Life, right? Because we follow the trajectory of wherever an agent's career might be. So if you're starting as a new agent to a rockstar solo agent, you want to be a team lead, so wherever trajectory you are in your career, we have a home for you.
Yes.
You don't have to leave.
Yeah. The model works.
That's
and
right.
It fits. Oh, I appreciate that about LPT. I know you can't talk a lot about the stock, but you mentioned it there. I have agents asking me often, like, "Hey, when's it going public? Anything you can tell us or tease us with?"
So we are indeed planning on going public this year. So this is the year that we are planning.
You have to,
for
right?
it. Well, we are planning on going public this year. Right. And so we have been well in deep preparations for this. We should be announcing our intent to go public, which is your S1, very shortly, depending on when this airs. And we will be having some major announcements coming very shortly.
That's a good teaser.
And so here's, and here's the thing to really consider when you start thinking about other companies that have gone public. They went public in a different way. So I came from the investment banking world. So if you start looking at how EXP went public under a SPAC, which means that they bought a shell company and put EXP into it. It was literally a penny stock. So there are some agents that actually their stock options were at 10 cents. And so they had to wait a significant period of time, almost 8 years, for them to get to a revenue volume that would allow them to list publicly. Then you look at somebody like Real. When Real went public, they didn't qualify either for NASDAQ because they didn't have that volume. So they actually went public on the Toronto exchange first and then backlisted into NASDAQ. So when you start looking at this, LPTA will be the first, what we call blue chip IPO with all investment bankers on Wall Street. We can't mention the banks yet, but we're very, very close. Where the last one to do that was Compass over a decade ago. And when Compass went public, they went public with SoftBank money. They had $2 billion of SoftBank money. And when they went public, SoftBank had also invested in WeWork, and that was when that debacle happened. They took all of their money off the table when Compass went public because of the WeWork debacle. And so Compass, I think, went public at around 23. They struggled to get past single digits for 7 years. And so now it's a different story. Now there was a little bit of a bump with the news last week, but they're still trading at $12, $13.
Yeah.
We are now the next blue chip, if you will, to go out to market with absolutely zero debt and with arguably a much better story.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel educated right here. Thank you for that. But yeah, we love the story. And, you know, I know a lot of people, I get asked that question quite a bit. I can't tell the story like you just tell the story, but appreciate that. Think about future LPT as we look off a year, 2 years beyond. You know, what do you see for the company?
Oh my God, we are just starting. Listen, when you start looking at other companies that had gone public, their growth spurt happened after they went public. So the fact that we're at 100% growth by some metrics, and you start looking at, we haven't even gone public yet.
Yeah.
And so imagine that sort of Herculean sort of like growth spurt that happens, because at that point, look, I know what we're building, and I came from the finance world, so I understand what it means to be in this position of earning shares of stock pre-IPO is an incredible delta for agents once they understand that dynamic. And then once you go public, you know, your incentives of like your first sale, or when you attract somebody to the company where you get shares of the company, everyone else that's publicly traded, those are dollar amounts. They're not shares.
Yep.
And so we will convert to dollar amount once we actually have a valuation. So in this period of time is the greatest time for an agent to have a delta for themselves and their families.
What's been fun recently, and this, you know, we joined when it was, I think, less than 10,000. I remember when it went over 10,000 agents.
Yeah.
But you see these message boards and people talking about, like, hey, I'm thinking about making a change, and I'm thinking about Compass or these, and I never saw LPT, but it's interesting in the last 6 months. Now all of a sudden, I'm thinking about a change, and it might be EXP or Real or LPT or Compass. What do you think of those? And so I think the brand is building, and there's been a ton of momentum, and, you know, from the sound of it, we're just getting started, right?
It is incredible. The teaser that I can give you is that our name is going to be in the press a lot in the next few months, probably starting in the next couple of weeks. And what we did towards the end of the year and what we have that we will start announcing soon is going to be a very valuable story of what we're building. And, you know, what's really interesting is that when you start looking at the leadership of this, I was an agent. And so when 21 years ago, I had one of the number one teams in the state of Florida. And so when you start looking at this, any decision that's made on a corporate level is made through the eyes and lens of an agent, because you sort of know what it's like to sit across the kitchen table, try to get that listing. You know what it's like not to have a deal close. And so that emotional connection is what I think gives us a competitive edge.
And you're having a lot of those conversations. You know, you mentioned some bigger indie companies and bigger teams that have either came over recently or hopefully that we might see in the near future.
That's right.
So that's fun. There's a ton of momentum building. It's fun to have been a part of it. Not in the earliest days, but, you know, we were fairly early in this thing when we joined. So
remember, we're just shy of a 4-year-old company, so everyone's still early.
Yeah, everything's early.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's fun. Aperture. So I don't think many of our agents know it. You know, you kind of talked about it a little bit there.
Yeah.
This may come as a shock to you, but we're not like a luxury market here in Des Moines. We're growing and have some higher priced homes. But, you know, when you talk about Aperture, what is it? What markets are they in? You know, all that good stuff.
So Aperture is a standalone brokerage. So it is not a division of LPT. It is a separate brokerage. So LPTA is our new holding company. LPTA owns LPT and owns Aperture. different brokers, different compensation structure, different everything, different deliverables on the marketing and everything else. And so this is truly geared towards that luxury agent who's focused just on luxury. And so we became the first single entity, meaning non-franchise, single entity brand to ever launch internationally at inception. So we launched in 22 US states and in 4 international destinations. We launched in London, Lisbon, Toronto, and St. Martin. And St. Martin might seem like a weird sort of location, but Elie Saab, the fashion designer, gave us the worldwide rights to his first development in the Caribbean.
Wow.
And so it was 12 villas priced from 3.5 million euros to 12 million euros. We've sold 4 out of the 12 already. It's been an incredible journey. We have attracted some of the largest luxury players in the market. I'll give you a funny story. In Big Sky, Montana, we had the #1 luxury agent in the state of Montana. Her name is Martha Johnson. She sold last year $500 million in real estate. Just her and her son. 46 transactions.
Yeah.
And it was like mind-blowing.
46 transactions.
Mind-blowing, right?
Yeah.
And so she's been in the market for 37 years, consistently doing those same numbers. Arguably the #1 luxury agent in the state of Montana, number 22 in the country by Real Trends ranking last year. And so we started telling the story of Aperture. And she actually was leaving her other brokerage that she's been there for over a decade. We didn't know that we had any shot of somebody like her. She saw the value of what we were building. Back then, it was only 3 months old. We're only a 7-month-old company on the Aperture side. We have attracted some of the top luxury agents across the globe, actually, which is incredible. We have 12 of the strongest agents in London that are building an incredible portfolio. We are now looking to open in Monaco, in Dubai, in St. Bart's, in Mexico City, and in Delhi.
Wow. Do you need agents in St. Martin?
Yes, come on over. Come on over.
Might make a transition here.
Yes, exactly.
That sounds lovely.
Sounds awful, doesn't it?
Oh, that's amazing. I think I maybe knew a very small portion of that, but definitely more than I knew, and pretty cool to see all that growth.
It's exciting.
Yeah. Do you get to travel to those places then?
So I used to live in London when I used to run the European network for Sotheby's. I created that network. So I opened up over 70 countries for the Sotheby's brand. So in my 22-year career, counting the Realogy brands, I keep calling it Realogy. It's anywhere, whatever.
Yep.
Now it's Compass. So that changed names 3 times. But in my 22 years career, I've opened up 86 different countries for 7 different brands.
Yeah.
So there's no one else in our industry that can say that. And I say it very humbly because it's a very strong overview of global real estate.
Yeah. So when you think of internationally, the brands here, are many of those, they're in Europe and other places internationally?
So, no, not really.
No.
Most of the franchise
But you mentioned Sotheby's, so...
Yeah, right. Yeah. So most of the franchise models, just because, I think that right now, it's a really difficult proposition for someone to say, I want you to buy a franchise.
Mm-hmm.
What do you get?
Yeah.
What's the value prop now?
Yeah.
And now when you start thinking about a conglomeration of 10 different brands, how do you differentiate between an ERA and a Century 21 and a Remax?
Yeah.
Right? It's sort of like, why am I going to pay anything for a franchise fee?
Yeah.
Right? It's like, so that becomes a very difficult proposition, I think, in our industry moving forward.
Yeah.
I think that when you you do business with somebody that you like and trust, right? So you can go and be an independent. You can go and join a cloud brokerage. You can go and have all the support that you need to build your business as you have proven here and done so well. And you have been with other companies. And this is where this makes the most economic sense for an entrepreneur.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. One of the things I was looking at the other day, I was watching some video, but, talk about company valuation and stock. And a lot of those brands, they've suffered quite a bit over the last few years.
Of course they have.
And so it's exciting for us to be something that's growing.
Yeah.
One of the reasons we chose LPT is because, like, when we think of the future of real estate, it's not that.
Yeah.
It's LPT and that
Absolutely.
model. So,
I mean, think about it. Think about when last year was the lowest number of transactions ever in our industry. So sub 4 million transactions. At the height of the financial crisis in 2008, there were 4,050,000 transactions. And then when you actually sort of do your adjustments for population and interest rates and everything else, it's actually lower than that. And so when you've gotten the worst year in real estate, how do you justify paying franchise fees?
Yeah.
How do you justify paying marketing fees? How do you justify all of X, Y, and Z? How do you do a monthly fee? Everything made a difference at that point.
Yeah.
And it made you sort of look in the mirror and sort of saying, is this really a model that's adding anything to my bottom line? And most of the answer was no.
Yeah.
And so you had very few companies that grew last year. Very few.
I've looked in the mirror and had that conversation with myself. So yeah, I understand that completely.
We were a huge standout in that growth trajectory.
Yeah, massive. I don't remember what the percentage ended up being, and we experienced that, because
it was triple digits.
Yeah, because we've seen, when you see a growth in agents coming over, which we saw locally, LPT seen, nationally, internationally. You're going to see that.
And the beauty of this, that it's not just us saying it, right? In last month, Deloitte, the most trusted accounting company on the planet, 180-year-old company, does a Fast 500 list. This is the 31st year they have done that list. And it's the list of the 500 fastest growing companies in America. And so this year, LPT was ranked for the first time, and it was ranked number 2.
Wow. It's phenomenal.
So it's not as though we're sort of like making up numbers in the lab, right? The Deloitte has to qualify every single person that's on that list. It's their reputation.
Yep.
We ranked number 2. It's insane.
That's cool to be a part of.
Yes.
Yeah. You mentioned market here. So last couple of years have not, transaction count nationally have not been amazing.
Right.
2023, 24,
Yeah.
and even 25, not great. Being at FallCon, LPT, heard Robert say a couple times, boom's day.
Yeah.
Boom is coming because we're due.
Sure.
What's your opinion of, when things might turn around? And
actually, just look at what's happened in the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Right. The idea that interest rates drop below 6.
Yep.
We haven't seen a 5 in interest rates in years.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are standing on the sidelines, right? You start seeing a lot of things that are just happening politically around us right now. Venezuela, Cuba, Greenland. It's sort of like it's not just noise. It all affects our industry. And when you start looking at what is the culmination of this, when you start sort of thinking about now Powell might get indicted, that was today's headline, right? So the whole point of this is that there is movement and shifts. And I think the only thing that one has to do is make sure that they are prepared. This is what Robert has been preaching on Motivation Monday for the last year, where you have to be prepared for this period. And what does that mean? Make sure that you're the one that's giving the information to your clients. Make sure that you're the source of truth. Make sure that when they are ready and looking, because remember, there's a lot of money standing on the sidelines. They're just waiting for that moment to strike. You've got to be prepared right now. So when the moment strikes and someone's ready to say, I'm ready to do a deal now, you better be right around that sort of like circumference, because if they're not going to call Kyle, they're going to call somebody else.
Yep. So our market, it's not normally 50 degrees out. So thanks for bringing that Dallas weather with you. But this is our market. We're getting into time, holidays over. January tends to be starting to ramp up more than February. We talked about our 100 best days here are spring break, mid-March to July 1, when the market really takes off.
Sure.
And so you talk about being prepared. Are there things, us as agents with LPT, that LPT is providing, or that we should, really look to to grasp onto and hold on to.
Oh my God, of course there is. Look, we give so much information out there. If you just go into Connect, there's a whole library of things that it's literally at a touch of a button for you. You can use Desi to just come in and personalize everything. But the idea is that you have to be that source of information. We've already given you the information. You just got to put your name on it.
Yeah.
But you have to make sure that you become that expert.
Yeah.
You become that trusted advisor that people turn to at this time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of confusion out there. People have been getting really remember last year when it was the buyer broker commission, right? And sort of like anybody who was a buyer's agent, you're out of business. It's like we saw commissions go up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
talking to my real estate coach in Vegas, and the same thing, like they were pretty set at it's around 2.5 that buyer's agents are getting. He says, now it's kind of 3. Yeah. We got a raise when that thing happened.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And it's always that mindset, right? You have to understand that you hopefully know the market better than your clients do, right?
That's right.
But remember, there's a lot of information on the internet. Anyone can get the information that they need. What they don't have is your local expertise.
Yeah.
What they don't have is, why is this home a better value than the one down the street? That's what you need to bring to the table as that expert. And it's not when they're looking. It's when you have to do it now to let them know what the differences are, to let them know why that's a better value, to let them know, hey, have you thought of this, right? So you have to find that solution.
Yeah. Really enjoy that. Love it. I'm excited for 2026. I think the key right there with what you were saying is like our agents be prepared now because it's coming. It's coming. Like a turn in the market is coming. And the rates, if they continue to trend down, we saw a local credit union today. I saw they were 5.5.
Yep.
And that's a really good rate.
And listen, we were talking about the Compass merger in the car heading over here. And originally it was supposed to close in June.
Yeah.
Right? It closed the first week in January.
Yeah.
If that's not a leading indicator, you know what I mean? It's sort of like, so I think that there is the writings on the wall already. 2026 is the start of a very strong bullish year.
Yeah. Well, we're looking forward to it. Appreciate it. Michael, we're looking forward to having you at our all company meeting tomorrow as well and hear a little more for you. So appreciate it. Thanks for joining us. Michael Valdes, CEO of LPT International.
That's a wrap for today's episode of Are You Down with LPT? Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you get some valuable takeaways to apply to your journey. New episodes drop every Friday, so make sure to subscribe so you never miss out. And hey, if you have your own story you'd like to share or questions you'd like to dive into, hit us up. Until next time, stay down with LPT and keep leveling up. Catch you in the next one.